This film begins with a manga assistant, namely Keigo Yamashiro, who has aspirations to become a famous comic artist, known as a mangaka. Even though he has a natural talent for drawing, he is constrained because of his good personality, and it is difficult to determine evil characters for his comics, which are of the suspense or horror genre. He lives in a small apartment with his wife, Natsumi.
また寝てないの?
15時しか時間取れないみたいなんだ。
Keigo always wants to add to his character collection, by drawing the characters of people he usually meets, to be able to find his own original character. Until one day, when he wanted to submit his work to Mr. Omura, a famous editor who can make someone become a famous mangaka. So according to Omura, the hand-drawn works by Keigo were really good, but the characters weren't strong enough.
全然ダメですか?
Omura finally rejected Keigo's work. He felt sad and down to see his dream getting farther away, and he had the intention to stop being a mangaka and just look for another job.
仕事探さなきゃな。
In the next scene, Keigo returns to his usual place of work.
漫画から。
He wanted to say that he wanted to quit the world of manga. The head of the manga ordered one of his assistants to look for a good house figure, and it would be a dream house for many people, but no one wanted to go. Then Keigo offered to go look for the house figure. Keigo went around on his bicycle looking for the house. And not long after, he found a house that matched what was described earlier. Keigo observed the house and immediately drew it. He drew the house from various angles. Then the neighbor of the house reprimanded Keigo for being disturbed by the house's music, which was too loud, and intended to call the police.
え? 失礼します。
When he opened the door, the house was pitch black. He stepped on something strange. In front of him, the sadistic murder of a family tied to the dining table. Outside the house, a man was walking. Keigo saw the man's face. Keigo was very afraid to see a very cruel murder for the first time. After that incident, Keigo was inspired to make his work. His work, entitled Sanjushi, inspired by the character of the family's murder. Film continues on with the Hara family. On the way, they see a car that has broken down. Long story short, they ended up helping Morozumi, who was the one behind the murder of the Funakoshi family. Morozumi was given a lift by the Hara family. Morozumi looked at the comic the boy was reading, and said that Dagger's character in the comic was exactly like him. Not long after, the police found the Hara family car in an accident in a ravine with unexpected conditions. Detective Seida shows a comic by Keigo, and the story described in the comic is really similar to what happened to the Hara family. And believes the perpetrators of the murders of the two families are the same person. The story continues with the visit of the Keigo family. The reason Keigo visited was to inform that they would have a baby. Not long after that, Keigo received Omura's call. Seida asks about the similarity of the manga's story in his work with the murder of the Hara family. Dagger-like character really exists.
創作です。連続殺人鬼ダガのモデルは俺が作ったキャラクターです。
After interrogating, Seida and Makab left. At night, Keigo went to a bar. Seida gave him his business card. Soon, Morozumi appeared and approached Keigo. Keigo was surprised by the sudden arrival of Morozumi.
ダガって僕に似てますよね。やっぱり何と言っても4人家族ですよね。 先生が書いたものも僕リアルに再現しておきましたから。僕ね、いいストーリー思いついちゃった。
Morozumi whispered an idea and left, carrying Detective Seida's business card. Keigo draws Morozumi's face, which looks like a dagger. The film continues when Morozumi immediately began his massacre of the families who were camped by the river. Not long after, the police investigate the case of the incident, for which Detective Seida is also there. Seida becomes increasingly suspicious of Keigo. Seida asked the bartender, and saw a picture of Dagger. The picture was the face of the person sitting beside Keigo that night. The film continues in the hospital, when Keigo accompanies his wife to check her womb. In the basement, Morozumi came suddenly, making Keigo surprised.
奥さんですか？
はい。
Morozumiです。三重詩共作してまして、僕のアイデアよく使ってくれて。行こう。
いや、失礼して。
今日はどうして病院に？もしかして子供？
はい、そうなんです。
って幸せの象徴ですよね。夏美、行くよ。
He was worried about his wife, so he asked Natsumi to leave immediately. In the car, Keigo tells Natsumi the truth about who Morozumi really is, and make him the Dagger character in his work. His intention to stop the manga series, because the perpetrator had created a murder scene in the Sanjushi series.
やめさせてください。じゃあ救済っていうのはどうですか？救済ということにして。
Keigo also agreed with the suggestion. Long story short, Keigo was looking at his manga books in a bookstore, where, as usual, Morozumi suddenly appeared to Keigo. He did not accept Keigo's hiatus from his work. Morozumi even denied that Keigo also killed the family in the manga. Detective Seida and Maka find out about Morozumi's true identity. Morozumi returned home to vent his anger and intends to finish the manga series by finding a new target family. Detective Seida and Maka continue to find out who Morozumi really is by going to the address listed on Morozumi's CV. He asks the woman for Morozumi's photo, but it turns out that Morozumi is using someone else's identity. And it wasn't long before he found a family that matched his criteria, namely, consisting of 4 people. Without waiting for, he finally start the action. After performing the action, Morozumi took some photos. The photo he took was pasted on the wall of his house to be memory. He felt he had accomplished his mission. Maka asks Keigo about the mountainous background of the Hara family case. There is a community thinks that a family of 4 is a symbol of happiness. Seida deduces that Morozumi had a grudge from that time and wanted to destroy family of 4. Seida rushed away after the conversation. And not long after he was startled by a mysterious male voice. And it turns out that Henmi was already there and immediately attacked Seida. Seida tried to fight back, but finally killed by Henmi. Morozumi was the mastermind behind Seida's murder, because he didn't like Seida interfering his business with Keigo. As a result, the police took action to immediately arrest Henmi. On the other hand, Keigo feels that he was the one who caused Detective Seida's death.
あいついろいろあって人のせいにしたりするような人間じゃない。漫画を描きな。あいつはあんたの漫画が本当に大好きだった。新作楽しみにしてたよ。
Keigo finally decided to continue his manga series, or, to be more precise, to make the last series from Sanjushi. He overflowed with his own ideas in this last series, and drew them directly on paper. The continuation of the series was very surprising, because he deliberately changed the story from the manga that Morozumi would massacre Keigo and his family. Even though he knew it was very risky, he still continued to release the last Sanjushi series. Not long after the last series was released, Morozumi was very enthusiastic about reading the last series. On the one hand, Keigo and his family are under the supervision of Detective Makab and his troops. His family is willing to become bait, while other teams are still trying to catch Henmi. It turns out that Morozumi doesn't do it, as described in the series. Morozumi told Keigo that they are not a happy family of four, they are full of fate. He prefers a real family. Realizing that, Keigo rushed home because he was afraid something would happen to Natsumi. And there Morozumi appeared, and immediately attacked Keigo. Without hesitation, Morozumi stabbed Keigo many times. Natsumi was surprised that her husband was bleeding. But apparently Morozumi heard it, and immediately stabbed Natsumi's leg. Keigo couldn't take it anymore, and said he had to follow the story. Because this is the work of the two of them together. When Morozumi tried to stab him, he didn't know Keigo was wearing a bulletproof vest. Without hesitation, Keigo immediately counterattacked against Morozumi. Keigo brutally attacked Morozumi without mercy and didn't give Morozumi a chance to fight back. Long story short, the Makab detective arrived at the scene and saw Natsumi, who had fainted. He saw Keigo, who wanted to kill Morozumi, but Keigo instead smiled. Makab was forced to shoot Keigo, which made him unconscious. The situation is drawn like the last series of the manga Sanjushi. Not long after, the medical team arrived and evacuated the two of them. Even though they were seriously injured, both of them were still alive. Morozumi was finally charged with serial murder. Days passed. At the hospital, Natsumi took care of Keigo and his twins.
お願いします。
Prosecutors gather evidence that he was involved in Seida's murder, even though he wasn't the culprit. He didn't kill him right away. He gave a statement that it's not the thing he should do. In making a work, he needs an assistant. As who did he judge his victims? Morozumi answered. That's the plot of the Character 2021 film. If you have watched it to the end, I hope this film recap can entertain and fill your free time. Don't forget to leave a trail or share your opinion for this one film plot in the comments column.